Hey y'all, happy Saturday. I'm super excited because we have a special guest this Saturday. It's rare for me to do Saturday Live, so this is exciting to be on today. Um, so we have a special guest, and her name is Crystal Toilette. She's one of my good friends, and oh, there she is now. And she comes to us from the Dallas, Texas area, and we're going to discuss her new book today, and of course, a couple of things that are love related, kind of our niche areas. We're both in the finance and romance space at the same time, so I'm excited to have Crystal with us today. Crystal, why don't you go ahead and send me your request, lady, so you can get in? Ah, perfect. Right on time. I'm so excited. This is going to be so fun. Hey, beautiful.
Hi.
Hey, we're twinning. We have a pink cup and your blue book right behind us.
Oh, listen, I love this cup. I had it and my friend accidentally broke it and it like took me forever to try to find it because it's like a needle in a haystack, but I got it back
Oh,
yesterday, so I'm super excited. So I had to showcase it today.
that's good. Well, hey, I'm honored. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, how was your Saturday going?
It's going good. Just trying to relax a little bit before I kind of get it going. I gotta work as always every day. I don't know when I'm gonna have a day off, but you know.
I hear you. I hear you. Like money never sleeps, but yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome. Well, hey, so since you're on the subject of work, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about, who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, personality wise, I would say that I am a bit of a free spirit with an old soul. I love to love on to others. You know, I love seeing people happy, making them smile. I love just experiencing people and just different vibes in general.
Yeah.
And I'm able to live in my truth through my career as a real estate professional as well as a romance author.
That's awesome. And so let me ask you, how does because I tie in the romance and the finance part together. How did you tie in the romance and the real estate? 'Cause I've always been wondering about how you've combined the two.
Yeah, so I loved real estate before I even got into it. And but I was born a writer. I was born to, write books and become an author. And so once I was able to kind of get myself in a position to be able to make it happen, I was like, there was no way that I could just let real estate go to the wayside. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, when you're helping someone in purchasing real estate or selling real estate, you're developing a relationship with them. You're dating. It's a professional relationship. It's the same as when you're looking to, date somebody, intimately. It's the same thing, just a different product, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so you're an acclaimed author, as we know, 'cause there's your book, right? So how did you begin your journey in writing books, and how did you know and identify that that was a passion of yours?
Well, I used to love reading books when I was a kid. I loved writing. I had this asphalt blue trapper keeper that I would write, comedic horror stories in. I just loved writing as a kid. I loved when the book fair came around. And so, but as I got a little older, like in my like middle school, teenage years, that love kind of went away. But I always knew that I was going to be an author, and I had a title in my head. Don't know when it came. I just know I had it like my senior year. And when I graduated from high school, my aunt was like, she sat me down and she was like, okay, what are you going to do with yourself? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to college and get a degree, but I'm going to be an author. I'm going to write a book. And so I had the title in my head, which is Bonded by Hate, Torn Apart by Love, but I had no idea what it was going to be about. It wasn't until probably 2 years later, when I was asleep in my dorm at UTA, dialogue woke me up out of my sleep, and then I just started writing. And I just wrote what I heard, and I just got it all out. And then once it was on paper, then I had to kind of look at everything and kind of pull from experiences to kind of bring it together and kind of come up with what the theme was for the book. But it was after it was already written for the
Nice.
most part.
Wow, that's awesome. It's so crazy how like, inspiration from the past will come and just really like, come in the right times. And sometimes we don't really know why we had certain thoughts or why we had certain things or what it's going to turn into. And then later on you're like, "Oh, wow, that's where that was supposed to go." So that's pretty cool about how that kind of came into fruition. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So you mentioned that like some of your inspiration for your latest release comes from, seeing dysfunctional relationships around you. And how did you see dysfunctional relationships throughout your years impact yourself and impact others around you?
Well, definitely the communication, that's it. When you don't have that respect and that communication, then those relationships, whether it's a significant other, a family relationship, friend, just a regular friend, that can just go downhill fairly quickly. So I learned how I wanted to talk to people and how I wanted people to talk to me.
Yeah.
Um, just watching that as I kind of grew up, and when I people who were in relationships, when they would have arguments and different things like that, and you just kind of see the body language, just how they're responding and reacting to what's being said, and just how they're feeling, and not able to express it verbally. I was just like, okay, I've always been an observer, so I just kind of always just sat back and just kind of took it all in and just kind of made a mental note. So when I was writing the book, I needed to, of course, pull, because again, the intent behind the theme of the book wasn't there when I was writing it, because I was just writing what was speaking to me. But when I went back and had to pull things together, tie things together, I had to then sit and look at what I had and then pull from experiences and things that I witnessed growing up to help me with making it whole.
Okay, that makes sense. I really like that you talked about the whole communication piece because that is something that I feel like, well, like I've experienced a lot of this, but I feel like our community, it's very challenging sometimes to express, and not just our community, but I feel like it's very challenging sometimes to be vulnerable enough to express, how you're feeling or how you're thinking or, the things that hurt you. And so, do you feel like this book and writing about these experiences has helped you? In any way as far as like how you've communicated or how you've decided to change that narrative from what you've seen growing up to now.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go through any of the stuff that they go through in this book. But listen, all of the characters have a piece of me in them. So some of these scenarios, some of these lines that they said, people have said to me verbatim. And even there was a line in the book where I wrote it, and then years later, somebody said it to me verbatim.
Oh
You know
wow.
what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So it definitely helps me recognize myself, and how I function throughout certain relationships, and what I need to kind of correct, to get a different result for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Okay, I like that. And so we talked about we both focus on romance and finance and real estate, right? So um I loved a lot of the themes throughout your book, and I've been doing a couple of different panels, and so as I was reading through it, I was like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about that today. So one of the first things that I really liked that stood out in your book was the theme about miscommunication and how that often happens between men and women, where we think our signals are very clear, but they're not. And so the only way for someone to really know without a doubt is for us to tell them. So let's talk about that a little bit. And what are your thoughts around this themes? I did see that kind of pop up initially in your book.
Yeah, I've definitely been in situations where I have developed feelings for someone and I couldn't voice it, you
Mm.
know. But, I the body language, your body language, your tone, what you allow and don't allow can definitely give the signal and let the other person know. And I feel like you can feel when someone feels a certain kind of way. And you know what I mean? Like we're not slow, I think, in regards to that. But I think acknowledging it is where some people just, if they don't necessarily feel the same way, they may not just acknowledge it. They'll just kind of just let it be. So if you are having some type of feelings for someone and you want it and you see them, what you think are signals coming towards you, then you need to kind of voice that if you're wanting something to come from that. And you need to voice what your signals are, what the intention behind your signals are.
Yeah.
Because you could be giving the signals, and in your mind you want to, see where it goes, see if it can develop into a relationship, something further from that. And then their intentions might be, I just want to have a good time and do what we do type of thing. So I think that when it's, when you're having, you just got to look and see what your intention behind it is. If you just like flirting and just like how it feels to, get that response, then okay. But if you're going to want something more and something deeper, then you definitely have to voice your opinion and just let it be known and see what happens.
That's really good. And you know what? I do want to touch on this, and this kind of segues into my next question for you, because we talked about intentions, and that's something that we've talked a lot about on the panels too, is about intentions and what are the motivations behind what we're doing. And so we talked a lot about how men and women relate a little bit differently. So what I've started to learn more recently is that a lot of men, not all men, but a lot of men start off in the friendship space because they want to figure out if this is someone that can, that they can be with. However, we tend to relate differently. When we say someone is our friend, we're not having any romantic interest. And so, maybe sometimes it develops, but that's not how we're relating initially, right? And so I've heard like about different women feeling kind of deceived once they find out that their friend has been like crushing on them or has been harboring these feelings or has been their friend with the intent of like furthering that relationship. So I do want to ask you, do you feel like trying to become romantically involved with your friend later on down the road, like let's say you started off with that initial intention, do you feel like that's deceptive, or how do you like view that, or what do you think about that?
I mean, it could be this, I don't know. It just depends. It
Mm-hmm.
depends, because I mean, sometimes you can think that you like someone, and because you got to know yourself, I think. So if you know that you have a tendency to crush on someone and then start, once you kind of get it going, you kind of realize like, oh, I really didn't, I really don't like this person like that or something like that. So I think it's a little easier to where if you try to start off kind of as friends, it's just to kind of feel it out, then that can kind of let you know, okay, this is someone that I would kind of want to, pursue in that manner. But I think just the timing of it, like how far into the relationship do you kind of let it be known once you realize, yeah, this is something I think I want to pursue, so in this manner. So I think you have to kind of come to that conclusion fairly quickly before it kind of deepens, as well as kind of keep yourself out of certain intimate situations, to where if they're giving you information about themselves, that they would only really give to a friend and not to someone that they were, talking to and trying to develop a relationship with or whatever. I think you need to kind of steer away from that, or when you see it's going that way, then you need to kind of go ahead and pump the brakes and kind of let it be known, so that they can then decide how they want to move forward with that friendship.
That's so true. And you know what? People don't realize that information is access, right? And so, there's different levels of information. There's a book I actually posted it on that new page I started. It's about called Dating with Boundaries, and it talks a lot about that, where it's like, okay, information is a boundary, right? Like the more intimate you go, you could be very much so giving the impression that this is something that it's not, by just allowing certain levels of access when it comes to information. So that is very, very important. That's really good, Crystal. Yeah, keep yourself out of certain intimate situations. You would never lie. That was good. That was really good. So yeah, boundaries are, I guess, really probably the key when it comes to this, and knowing yourself in terms of like how you typically react in a situation like you're saying. That's really good. Um, so the next theme that I kind of wanted to touch on um, is okay, so about romance kind of finding you. So one of your characters in the book, I'm trying not to give away too much about it, but I'm talking about the themes instead. So in this section, this person kind of let romance find them, or not let them, but when they weren't looking for it, the romance kind of found them. So can you talk about like how sometimes like desperation can push away what you're trying to, actually have access to, or you're trying to obtain? Can you talk a little bit about letting romance find you, and just how leaving it can like kind of transcend into something more?
Well, I guess that, we all put out vibrations daily. What you think and whatever you tend to think a lot of starts to kind of happen. Like if you're having a bad day and you keep talking about how bad the day is or negative things, then these things will find you, right? The more you ask for something, and if you just keep knocking on that door, you're going to get it. That's Bible. You know what I mean? So I think the difference is you want to make sure that if you're wanting to find love and or love to find you, or what rather, and especially I think so in this book, I guess the character has feelings for someone else, but those feelings are not being reciprocated. So in that absence, this person decides to go ahead and venture into the dating life and just trying to, try that out, which I think is fine to do in that instance, but you have to be careful because you just don't want it. You want to date with intention. If you don't see yourself once you kind of initially start, if you don't see yourself going any further. And I think people can tell you who they are literally if you listen within the first conversation, if you ask the right questions or just let them go. When you get people really comfortable, they'll just kind of let it all out. So you have to know what it is you want in a significant other and what are your deal breakers.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to stick to it. And when you start having people come your way, if they're not checking a lot of those foundational boxes, because, we can be very picky on we want this, we want that, but you got to look at the foundation, not those kind of, temporary kind of petty like things or whatever. So, but yeah, you're going to attract whatever it is you're putting out there. And if you keep allowing certain things in your life, you're going to you're going to keep getting the same kind of people. So then you have to realize, okay, you have to sit back and be like, okay, why do I keep attracting the same person? And you have to figure out, okay, when you attract that person, what is it about that person that you don't care for? And then you got to have a come to Jesus moment and be like, okay, so what signs am I putting out there that keeps attracting this person? And so you might have to have a conversation, of course, with yourself and with friends, people who know you best, and other people of the opposite sex, so they can kind of let you know how they perceive whatever it is that you are putting out there. You got to listen, and then you just got to take it all in and get yourself together so you can stop attracting the wrong thing, because you can be over here playing games and doing this and doing that, and you can keep your blessing away because you got to be in a position to receive whatever it is that's coming to you. All my talk is going to, when it comes to relationships, is going to be based on biblical. So if your spirit, if that's not, if your spirit hasn't told you or has told you, the kind of person that you're supposed to have in your life, and you're not seeing it. So if you're not seeing it come your way, then you need to not allow it into your presence and just keep waiting. You got to have patience.
Yeah,
So it can definitely prolong your blessing for sure.
that's really good, Crystal. You said something really good. You said the foundational, right? And I was just having a discussion with some of our ladies. We do like a little meetup every now and then from our office, and one of the things we talked about is like the list, right? But the list being those core foundational things, and then like having your bonuses, which can be related to looks and attraction and all that stuff, but like having your core needs within the relationship being met and knowing what those are by having like a list, and not of like physical stuff, right? We gotta like look at the inners. The inners what you're gonna have to put up long when the physical has definitely dissipated. So that's really good, Crystal. Um, so you talked about asking the right questions and learning a lot about somebody in the beginning. So what are some of the questions that you take with you on a date?
Well, I would like to know, like what their relationship is with like their mom, their parents. you know?
Mm.
Um, just do they have a growing relationship with God? Honestly, like, I had someone literally tell me everything I needed to know about him in 5 minutes, and he unchecked all the boxes. you know I, I mean,
Literally.
got it all out there for me, to know, because that's a good thing, because I believe that if I'm gonna be in a relationship with someone, because I'm looking to be a wife, and so if I have a husband, then I'm gonna follow his lead, you know what I mean? And so I got to know who he's answering to, so that's big for me. That just, definitely you want to know about goals. You want to know how um I'm an entrepreneur, and so I think differently about things. And especially when it comes to being business for yourself, so we got to be equally yoked in that instance, because we got to be on the same page, because some people who are just stuck in their ways, and I mean, I'm telling you, you can just be talking about their routine, what it is they do in a day, and someone will tell you if you guys are going to be able to mesh well. So, I just kind of let the conversation go, but definitely the relationship with their family, their relationship with God, their goals, those are like top, three important things. And then, of course, they got to love people, because I love entertaining. I love people, and so they got to love to travel, those simple things,
That's
I
good.
think.
That's really good. Talk a little bit more about that when it comes to like dating as an entrepreneur, because that is something that is yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes when it comes to shaking up people's mindsets and stuff. And so you want to talk a little bit about that and what that looks like?
Yeah, I mean, when you're dating someone or talking to someone, and you're trying to get to that level, and they are like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say what I want to say, because when someone does not have the ability to just drop and go, and go to lunch, or attend an event with you or something like that, because they have kind of a set schedule, that can kind of cause a concern. I was talking to someone, and he was just a straight, you know to the schedule, this is what I do, and it was kind of like he turned his nose up, or it was like offense. He was like offended by my ability to be able to travel when I wanted to, my ability to make my own schedule, you know what I mean? So it's something within them, they can just get um what's the word, they can be kind of jealous of that. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Well, that's a little bit of an insecurity because of the fact that
Yeah.
I'm a man and I can't go and prioritize this, and that to go do what I really want to do versus, I have to stick to a schedule because somebody else is telling me what to do. That's what,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then they start to project on you, and try to make you feel a certain kind of way, because you're going and having dinner with your friends or doing something, but you're at work, or you're asleep, because you have to get up and go to work. So I'm with my friends, what is the problem? You know what I mean? It's just all kind of insecurities and things start to kind of come out. So I just want someone who has kind of the same mindset, because you can work a schedule and still have that entrepreneurial, mindset,
Yep.
but there are others who just they can't see it, and they take offense to it, and they start to feel a certain kind of way and project their insecurities onto you. So
That's,
when you're talking to someone and they start talking that talk, then you got to just go ahead and let that go, because it's
yeah.
not going to go anywhere.
And it's not going to be good for the long haul for sure. Yeah.
Might as well stop it in the beginning.
So you when you talk about things, you also talk about them on a biblical foundation as well. And let's talk about that. This is a common thing that people say, that two halves become a whole. When in actuality, what we know is that we come together with our unique gifts and abilities and make things better, but we don't come as a half, right? Because that means when you join with someone in your whole, then y'all split up, then you're even less of a half than you were before. So let's talk a little bit about that from a biblical standpoint of, coming into something with all your, with your knowing at least who you are and having an understanding of your insecurities and things like that. Let's talk about that, Crystal.
You definitely have to be one with self. You have to know who you are and who you are in Christ. And I think having that foundation and just working on whatever your insecurities are, and that'll help you in your relationship because you know your triggers, and so you'll know if you are being triggered by something that the other person has said or is doing that you're seeing, then, just kind of catching that, you should be able to sit down and kind of have that conversation without lashing out, like, and without, and with a good tone, and just, let them know that, I recognize this in myself. I've been working on this. I think it's having that respect. The Bible teaches you so much. It just teaches you to love yourself and how to love others. And so you want to talk to the other person how you would want someone to speak with you, and you just have to sit and you have to go through what you have instilled in yourself and what the Bible has instilled as to how you are to be in a relationship and what a healthy relationship, I guess, looks like. And you just have to make sure that daily you're striving to be that.
Yeah, that's good. That makes sense. I like that, knowing your triggers. When I was in school, I was what you call a resident advisor, so you advise the halls and stuff. And one of the things they talk to us about is knowing your triggers, because you can get into some really intense situations, and if you don't know your triggers, they're not going to be handled in the best fashion, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's super important. Yeah, knowing your triggers. Um, have you figured out a way, because I know we're not all perfect and we're striving every day, but have you figured out a way to kind of acknowledge when you're being triggered? Have you, because some people, I don't feel like we always are recognizing that. Sometimes you're like pointing the finger at the other person, but then you got to turn back within and say, wait a minute, like, this is coming from a place that I thought was healed. So, or I never acknowledged that wasn't healed. So have you figured out a way to kind of acknowledge when you're being triggered and owning it instead of blaming?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in conversations with people in friendships in general, and I've seen myself going down, saying things and getting a certain tone with them over whatever it was that we were talking about. And I've had to kind of stop myself. Sometimes, though, okay, it just goes, and it's like after the fact, it's like, I gotta call and apologize, because sometimes you just can't help yourself. It just goes and you just have to let it flow. Unfortunately, it's not a good thing when the person is not accustomed to that from you. They don't know you like that, especially if it's kind of like a newer kind of relationship. So you gotta humble yourself for sure. You got to humble yourself and just recognize it, and acknowledge what it was that was said, and kind of bring it to light, and just let it be known that, hey, when you said this is how I felt, or this is what it triggered for me. I want to apologize. You got to humble yourself, be honest, and apologize, and just see how you can just grow from that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the same thing over and over again. You gotta get it. You gotta get it together.
Yeah, that's so true. Sometimes you do keep up in your head and you're like, why do I keep doing this?
I hate apologizing. I don't like it. I do not like to do it. So I try. So if you don't like apologizing, try your best, because I get convicted. I mean, I remember I had the worst attitude one day in Walmart. The worst. And I was going to pick up a gift that my dad had ordered me a Google Home, and I was going to pick it up, and I just had the worst attitude because the line was long. It was like two people ahead of me. That line was long. I was in the wrong line. I had to go to this other line, and this lady kept looking at me, and I just like rolled my eyes, and I'm like, why is she looking at me? Like the whole thing. And when I just had to like, and my spirit was like, you need to get yourself together. And I had to apologize in that moment. Oh, it hurt. I did not want to do it. And she was just like, yeah, I was just looking at you because I really loved your hair. It's so pretty, da da da. And I'm like, it's be simple things. You just be so, and and it can be a whole lot. It can be detrimental when it's a significant other, or someone that you're trying to get on that level. So you have to recognize it, and you have to own up to it fairly quickly. You can't just let it go. It can't be days and things like that, because then the mind gets to talking, and
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the stories we tell ourselves, like for sure. The
Hmm.
church I used to go to in Sacramento, California, I lived there for like a summer, and they used to have us get up before the service would start, and we would go around and like hug and shake hands and like just connect with people. And people would say, "Oh, your dress is pretty," "Oh, this is a nice color on you," "Oh, your hair looks good." And sometimes you see people beforehand, you're like, "Why is this person there?" I'm like, "What are you like?" And then when you go and meet them, you're like, "Oh, okay."
Right. Isn't
So,
I know. So you just gotta sometimes what you're thinking and the first thing that comes to mind, you just need to kind of let it stay there. You need to just smile as best you can, because yeah, you don't want to put off that kind of vibe when it's not called for.
exactly, exactly. That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, people aren't thinking about us as much as we think, like, we're in that way, as much as we think that they are sometimes. So
Hmm.
that's really good stuff, Crystal. Yeah, I love that. And you said humble yourself, because that is a big part of relational, like relationships and friendships, all of that is being able to take off your armor sometimes, because, like, I had a girlfriend that, um, I love her so much still, but you got to put your space between certain people, because that armor, because you've been so hurt, you want to hurt as many other people as you possibly can. And I know that that's not the intention, but when you can't help yourself, so how have you, distanced yourself sometimes from detrimental people that are a little bit further gone? Like some of the stuff that you talked about, yes, we got to check that stuff, but it's very innocent. How have you put yourself between people that are, or like distance yourself from people that are a little bit more detrimental for your well-being, even though like you love them and you really want to see them do well, but how have you like managed that?
We just stick to likes and and thumbs up on the gram and Facebook and so on. You may get a happy birthday out of me, but you're not coming to my birthday. And you just I mean I've had family members and friends that I've just had to kind of, I can love you from afar. You don't mean me no good. Or having your presence in my life does not give me it doesn't make me happy. I'm not, it's only negative that I'm getting from you, and it's nothing positive. So you're not adding to my life. If you're not adding to my life, you're not going to be in my life. So leave them on red. If they even do, reach out or something like that. I mean, it is what it is. People, when you stop getting invited to birthdays, people know their place, because that's the important thing. If they're not at a birthday or a special event, they know what's up. And then that's just what it is. But I love you from afar. You got a cute picture. I like your hair. I'll thumbs up. I'll like it. I might comment cute. But that's about as far as it's going to go for us.
I hear that one. I hear that one. That's good, Crystal. Boundaries, 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 boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's been awesome chatting with you today. I do want you to kind of tell people where they can buy your book, and if you want to post the website in the comments, but let people know where they can buy your book.
Yes, you can buy my book on my website, crystaltoilette.com. Crystal spelled the regular way. My last name I know is a little different. It's French. I will post it in the comments, but you can also go over to my page, which is Real Estate and Romance, and just click the link in the bio. and you can order your copy there. There you're actually able to meet the characters, you're able to read samples of the book, and you're able to watch the book trailer. And the book trailer is an illustrated trailer. It's not stock photos or anything like that. I had a song created for it, so it's a, you know, it's a custom song made for it, and it kind of sets the tone for what to expect in the book. And the book itself, it's a good read. It really is a page turner. I mean, you know, you're kind of thrown in the middle of everything. You know, the characters are getting ready, you know, for a party, and then it just, you hit the ground running from there. It's a quick read. I think the quickest someone has read it has been a day and a half.
Yeah.
So,
That book is fire, so y'all do need to go ahead and get that. Yeah, so I'm not gonna say too much more. I was trying so hard not to give it away because it's so good.
I know, right?
Yeah. So do you have any like final like closing thoughts or closing words that you want to say for everyone? You know, just about kind of what we chatted about today, or any words of wisdom that you want to impart on everyone?
Yeah, you know, my writings are always purpose filled, and with this particular book, you know, it's just, it's a good read. You know, if you want to take something away, there is an underlining tone and purpose to the book, but if you just want to be entertained, you will be thoroughly entertained. And just in general, with this book, you know, it's just, it was written so that people could recognize the dysfunction in their relationships that they currently have, whether it's with a significant other, you know, just recognize um, those patterns and habits that you tend to have, because when you read the book, you'll see that the characters tend to do this. They keep repeating the same things, just with different people, you
Yeah.
know? So I think it's a good read. You'll enjoy it. Definitely go to the website, check it out, and go to my real estate and romance page. Hit the follow button just to stay updated on future endeavors.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. This has been really good, and I'm really impressed with you just as a person, and also, you know, through your writings and you as a professional. So definitely glad that we're connecting and we're collaborating, and I look forward to future collaborations with you. And yeah, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye.